neighborhood of Gary, Indiana. AJ, A-Dub, Marco, and Stretch. Keeping it forthright, vulnerable, and welcome back to another. I'm not going to do it this time. Welcome back to another episode of the Informilly Honest Podcast. Three brothers today from your middle neighborhood of Gary, Indiana, coming to you to talk about this thing called life. And no matter where we go, what we talk about, we're going to keep it forthright, vulnerable, and most of all, get the goddamn honest. Fellas, welcome back to another week. Happy, no, we got one episode in. Mid-October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is spooky season doing anything for you, or it's just happening around you?
Well, this is probably my favorite time of year, like that September, October range, and then before we get into the super cold stuff. But yeah. We've been doing some fall stuff. Like we went to an orchard out in LaPorte.
Okay.
And in fact, Kirsten just came back from the orchard with her mom, the one out here in Maryville, the one like Lake County.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's Maryville, maybe it's Hobart, but
isn't that the one that we used to go to as a kids?
Yeah.
County line?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll forever miss that one, dog. That shit has my heart, man. Even though those motherfuckers are completely I'm talking about if there was like a comfortable from childhood view of that, where it was like homey and comfortable and crafty, and to the last time I went when it was, hey, buy this. Hey, buy this, buy this, buy this. Damn. Anyway, has my heart, man.
Yeah, they'll get you.
I always be wondering like would I actually care about those things, because I'm so not much of a nature person anymore that I'm like,
anymore. This man said anymore. When did it start for you? What you mean?
No. Okay, let me say this. By anymore, I mean no. By anymore, like the circumstances in which I was put in nature was not me going, oh, I want to do it, but I'll be there and do it. Yeah, now with grown adult autonomy, I'm like, ooh. But I put myself in a situation.
Hey, but we had hella good times.
Sure.
Sledding though, man.
Absolutely. Sledding. I enjoyed when we would go apple picking and all of that kind of stuff, or them random bonfire situations, or whoever that one place was, somebody real rich that lived out in the woods. We had some kind of camping thing out there. I remember
I know what you're talking about.
Plot of land. We had the strong ass flashlights.
That was Ken's old crib before he sold it, and then they got a house together. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember everybody was there. It was at least high school, maybe going on, maybe after high school.
No, it wasn't after high school. Like we were still in school.
Then maybe it was high school then. Because I know Chris was allowed to bring a lot of folks, and then his friends and our friends, and we all kind of knew each other anyway.
Right. Even like Lamont was there.
Yeah, Lamont was there.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I made that one, because I feel like I would have remembered that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think he was working, bro.
Oh, okay.
My man was out here in the real world hustling. And we over here, you know what I mean, riding on the back of fucking trucks and
you're right.
You know what I mean, and go-karts and shit.
Because I'm like, yeah, we might have been that old because I think I drove.
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember you had something to do, so you came a little late.
Yeah. Okay. But no, we were definitely still in school though.
Yeah.
But fuck nature. Nah. Speaking of going against nature, slot of AI developments as we've been seeing from the Tesla event. Do y'all have any initial feelings on the I think it was called We Robot, from what I saw of Elon?
Yeah. They just changed the pronoun.
Yeah, they changed the pronoun. They changed the pronoun. They seem to, kind of carbon copy everything from the movie. But
Some people call it plagiarism. Some people call it $1 billion idea.
by some people, I am some people. I think it's verbatim plagiarism. But
Hey,
but
yo, Elon said I'm getting out the hood.
worst shit I've seen not worst shit, but one of the worst things I've seen in regards to Elon. Flagrant had Donald Trump on as a guest, and Andrew was like, "Is Elon Musk your favorite African American?"
That's just funny to hear. I don't even know why he made that joke. I'm sure the context matters, but just
Because
hearing it without knowing anything else is hilarious.
Elon's
South Africa.
South
Oh,
Africa.
okay, yeah. My bad. I ain't even think of
like,
it didn't even hit me. Dang.
But yeah, what
That's
are your
good.
initial thoughts on it? Or if you had the money for it, you getting a robot assistant, you good with the driverless taxi?
No, so I'll jump out there. So for me, I want nothing to do with this tech stuff. Like I was just telling Kirsten, like I'm on record. I was just telling Kirsten, like just last week, I'm about ready to trade this phone in for a flip phone. I'm reverting
trying to get
quickly
back.
backwards because like I don't know, man. I just been like, I guess the word is like overstimulated. I guess with like just like as we just continue to go forward, it's just like, man, I'm trying to like, I'm not saying I want to be stuck in the past or anything, or I guess I am saying that, but
I was about to say, come to Asheville real quick. Come to Asheville real quick.
but now like me and Kirsten, like I think we're probably on different levels with it. But like for me, like I'm really, and I kind of jokingly say this all the time, but it's kind of like a metaphor. But like I jokingly say, like, man, I'm just ready to like go and build a cabin in the woods. But I don't. I mean, I do mean it, but I don't necessarily mean like, like that's got to be my permanent living situation. But it's really just more of a metaphor, just kind of like simplifying life, I guess. Like, again, like the phone, for example, like just like I don't need all of these alerts. I don't need, and like the fact of the matter is, the idea is really to buy a flip phone and then just get an iPad. And then whenever I do need that, because you need apps for certain things to pay your bill, to do this, to do that. Like, okay, I'll just have a little iPad, mini stuff like that. And you can even get like a data plan, a little cheap, I just need the minimum. I can even use it for a GPS, type of thing. So,
and get you a VPN. That way they can't trace you.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and like, and then just to go back to like the cabinet thing, like, and for me, like I've been watching these shows and I think they're influencing me way more than they should. But I've been watching these shows about these people in Alaska, and I keep prefacing, I don't want to live in Alaska. That's too much. It's too much effort to stay alive in that part of the world.
Bro,
Like,
so true, man.
like
So
it's
true.
just, yeah, it's just a lot. But that's not to say that I wouldn't want to like take some aspects of how some people live there, like self-sustainability, or like it doesn't have to be 100%. It could be 50% or 40%. But I'm just trying to get to that, and it's probably gonna take some years to really get there. But that's where like I'm trying to kind of move towards, kind of just having like a simple, kind of like old school, you know, buy a homestead if possible, in the future.
It might not necessarily need to be like Alaska. There's plenty of places in Colorado, Wyoming that are just isolated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially Wyoming.
And that's the thing. Like for me, I don't mind being more isolated. Kirsten doesn't want to be like super isolated. I get it. And for me, I don't need to be like, honestly, there's places out here in Indiana where like the homes are like kind of like tucked off and they have like their own little thing going on. It like that's fine. It doesn't need to be like,
you can even get acres. You can be a couple acres away from neighbors and still feel like you're pretty private. Yeah,
exactly. So for me, like the cabin in the woods thing really is kind of like a joke, kind of like a metaphor. But
I got you, man.
But I wouldn't mind it too, though. That's the thing, is I wouldn't mind it, but it also it don't got to be that far either.
Right.
Hey, really? Hey, before I give my answer, can I piggyback on something that Adam said? It just inspired
Of course.
something in me, and like, there was a time when, like he said, sustainability, like, or like just survival things in case you need it. Like, I understand that we're no longer having to fight bears and lions and all that shit for food and wolves, like because we are in civilization and have phones and all these things. But I
Mhm.
still do think that we should be taught this in school as well. It shouldn't just like these things to some degree should be more accessible because I know at one point it was more of a necessity and you had to learn
Yes.
this. What about when water
Yeah.
goes out? How do you purify water? What about this? How do you build a fire? These things still should be a part of the curriculum along with, and you can learn about this shit on the iPad that you have in class.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
both of
and
them.
that's an even longer conversation that I'm not against having about all the things that should be taught in school curriculums
Yeah, and
over
I
what the
didn't.
fuck
And to be
is taught in
fair,
school
who am I?
curriculum.
Like, who am I to say should? But you know what I mean. Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. That's a bit that could be a great I don't necessarily know that it's a lucrative idea, but if you were able to create programming and a curriculum, even if it's just extracurricular, to start offering to schools of like survival, yada yada yada, especially if you're offering it to urban areas.
Who normally don't get out, and yeah, because now it's seen as like it's an afterthought because we have so much comfort and we have so many things that built around not needing that shit. So it's
Well,
like I go out in nature. I know I live in my house. I have all these things, of course, but like, you know, it's such a phenomenon. We watch Bear Grylls and all this shit as if it's not something that building a fire is not that fucking hard. You know what I mean? Like,
but think about it is you say it's an afterthought, but I think that's circumstantial. Because for me, a
yeah.
nigga that don't know how to do nothing, it's not an afterthought. It's just not a thought.
Well, yeah, all right. It's an after. It's an after hour. It's
I'm,
an after hours
I'm,
thought.
I'm saying think about all the people who live in a a Detroit, a St. Louis,
Hmm.
these highly metropolitan urban areas or whatnot that nature survival and things of that things of that ilk
Yeah,
ain't even in their purview,
for
and
sure.
you might even have low enrollment to start, but it may be a thing of like, hey, in the growing economy of technology and how it's becoming so prevalent, by all means, those kind of curriculums are going to be pushed on you. Also, make sure you know if the whole grid shut down, do you know how to survive?
Yeah.
100%. 100, and that might spark interest in somebody becoming a fucking master gardener because they had no idea how
Absolutely.
fun whatever. And then well, you know what? They're building a fucking urban garden with
Hmm.
fruit and whatever, and they're teaching people in their community. Who the fuck
And
knows, man?
that's even a challenge with that, just because agriculture used to be so big
Hmm.
culturally for us,
Hmm.
but you know.
They leave.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I guess I
more,
should say
more,
to qualify
I,
to
I wasn't speaking from the cotton standpoint.
Okay,
I was,
okay.
it's like, yeah, it was pretty big. It's pretty
I
big.
was, spe- I was speaking from vegetation and
Okay.
indigo and
Yeah.
shit like that.
Well, like, to qualify, there are small grassroots efforts that I've even heard of in Indiana and like different places. It's just not they're not getting a lot of funding. And even my aunt has come to me and like when I was younger saying like, would you be
I'm sure
interested
they
in it?
exist. Yeah.
But she was already taking us out. But I'm just thinking of like so many people who I even knew who like let's say somebody went camping with us. They were like they never heard of a sleeping bag or never knew that. And it's
Hmm.
just like, oh well, you really so even from a young age, it's a reminder that if you just don't have the experience, you almost can't blame somebody for not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You kind of know what you're exposed to based on what you're
Right.
exposed to, indirectly or directly.
Right.
Um, so I
Which is
guess
both ways.
longer story, longer. It was just like Adam mentioning that is like why is that not still a part of some portion of mandatory in the curriculum,
And,
even
and,
to a small degree?
and honestly, it probably could be in some places in this
Mhm.
country. It
That's
might
I'm
be.
true.
sure it
Like,
Yeah,
is.
I'm
if you
sure.
grow up in
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alaska, it just might be part of the
absolutely.
part of the thing. But and honestly though, like it's unfortunate because like a lot of folks, and we probably joked and said it, but a lot of folks in our community, particularly, might even not even might typically see stuff that we're talking about as unfortunately as white people things, like
Yes.
going to the park, going to do this, going to do that. Farming, that's not white people thing, that's a human thing. Even though we're not,
Mhm.
even though I wasn't talking about farming, I was talking about going hiking particularly.
Yeah,
But
but still, they go hand in hand, like you said.
yeah,
We know you know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. But no, like that's just true. Like I mean, you could go on YouTube, right, or Instagram, whatever platform
Mhm.
you want to go to, and there could be some black person talking about hiking or this, and someone's gonna be like, "What are you talking about that white?" And I get it, it's joke, it's fun,
Right.
but
I
some
think
people
it,
are dead serious though with that, and it's like I'm not gonna do that because that's some white people stuff.
and the thing is,
And
I think it's grown in more
yeah,
recent times. I
yeah,
think I think with I don't know. I see more in my feeds. I see a lot of groups of, like, oh, we're a all black women hiking group, or oh, there's a black woman who's TikTok I think I follow, who's real big on urban foraging and
oh,
showing
nice.
you like
Hmm.
what plants that it can be found that are just found on side streets in the city are edible.
Okay, nice, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Um, and
that's
so like
awesome. That's cool, man. That's
I
so
think it
cool. Yeah,
exists, but of course it exists within whatever like small silos that it's existing.
Yeah,
for sure. And somebody needs to like even it takes somebody to like plant and like start doing that shit. Give it some time so then you can even if no organization is doing it, it takes somebody
Mhm.
to show it off in their backyard or something.
yeah.
You know what I mean? The first
Like,
person to plant shit and
sadly,
get it going.
sadly, all it takes is a famous person to do like
Endorse it.
someone
Yeah.
of like some real high influence, like I don't know, someone of high influence, and they like I'm buying the Jay-Z. Jay-Z was like, I'm about to buy this farm and buy buy these acres, and like we're gonna teach people how to plant and teach people how to do this. Suddenly,
Mhm.
everybody would want to become farmers because after 444 came out, suddenly everybody became
Art
investors and
investors.
like where did this come from? Like
Yeah. Yeah,
suddenly
man.
people
Lay
are
down the
buying art. They're
Glocks.
like, what?
Lay down the Glocks and picking up compost. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
But I mean that's great. That's great that someone can, one man can have all that power, to be able to just completely
Yeah.
change, a community like that. Because like I said, people started talking about, changing their life and stuff when that album came out, financially. So I mean, maybe if he came out with a farm album like Beyonce came out with the country album, maybe he can, come out with some,
I mean,
I'm half joking, but
I saw more black women in tassels and cowgirl boots than I have in my entire life
For
once
yeah,
that
sure,
album
dude.
came out.
For
yeah.
sure. You know what? I guess part of I guess the last thing on that for me before I finally give a fucking answer to
The
the
original question.
original question, bro, is I'm hoping that like so in times where now Asheville was a drastic example,
Mhm.
um a lot of folks died too. In ways that like if you in your car and this much water is coming and it's like flooding, it don't matter how it might not to that level of to that degree of being drastic and dangerous. So you can only have so many skills before it's tough to survive a specific situation. But
Sure.
for a lot of other folks, when like without water and power and shit, if we had just been trained or given the opportunity to be exposed in other ways that are uncomfortable, because let's be honest, being out in nature is uncomfortable compared to the comfort of we're used to. Um, just mentally and emotionally, we wouldn't go from 0 to 100 anxiety and panic when these things leave because we have certain one you just put yourself in a more controlled way in an uncomfortable environment, but also you now have these other skills on the back end that you can use, so it won't be as much of a mental and emotional load too. And that's what I would like hope for. I would hope to be a byproduct, I guess, of having this in the curriculum, just from seeing how people, one side for sure, people came together. That's wonderful. But on the other side, just seeing people being so much more anxious and about just not having water and power. Of course, that sucks. I agree. I'm just saying, with more skills and more knowledge and awareness, I feel like it can kind of lower that shit to like it's not your first response, maybe, because you got other ways. You're able to make do with less, essentially. When you can make do with less and be uncomfortable. I don't know. This was just I'm like, it made me think of all this shit too because of the obvious situation that we're building back from.
Right.
But, yo, I guess I could, to answer the original question, I could just say I pretty much agree with
Adam.
You'll
get there? All right.
I agree with Adam. Look, man, also too, like, speaking of that shit, we just got the water back on Tuesday.
Yay.
And a lot of people aren't trusting it because you can't ingest it. It's heavily chlorinated. The first round is going to be heavily chlorinated to stop any possible infection. So it's good for certain things like, at least flushing and possibly hand washing. But I'm one of those motherfuckers who was in that shower. I am ashy as a motherfucker. I'm dry as shit. I can feel the chlorine on my skin right now. So you know what I mean? Yeah. But still, go out there and jump in a lake or two. But nah, man, I'm not a big truster yet in just jumping in a autonomous car, typing in a destination, let the motherfucker do the work for me. I'm not a big truster in that yet. I don't have control, and maybe that's part of my ego, but I'm not ready to let go fully of control. Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing, I get that. I'm split in the middle. One, I have a hard time trusting technology that hasn't been thoroughly vetted yet.
Yeah, has been battle tested.
Hasn't been battle tested. Because I think I said this last week, and Marcus was like, "No, that's old stuff." Well, the original driverless cars couldn't see dark skinned niggas, and I was like,
I didn't even know that was a thing. What?
That's just bad. That's a bad camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah, that's a bad. Because real super quick.
Yeah.
No, actually, I don't want to make you figure your point. So go ahead.
So if that technology has been fixed that it can see my black ass at night, then that makes me feel a little better. But but at the same time, my want to not have to drive is so strong. That especially when I think about things like in December, I'm gonna be going to Ohio for work. It's a 5-hour drive. If I didn't have to actually drive, I would feel so much better.
You trusting that motherfucker? You trusting that motherfucker for 5 straight hours? No, sir.
But again, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I know the car is smart enough to go to the like I put in the destination, it says, "Hey, we need gas. Here are the options nearby," and I could go, "Cool, that bitch is cheap. I know it's 3 miles off the beaten path. You gonna go to that motherfucker? Figure it out." That would be great for me. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying in the perfect world where I know I ain't gotta be awake. Like, if I choose to doze off and I'm still gonna end up where the fuck I'm supposed to be, let me in that bitch right now. That's what I would prefer.
In the perfect world, that sounds glorious.
I know that perfect world doesn't exist yet, and I can live in the tempering of that. But if you ask me what my ideal situation is, I've been
Yeah.
waiting for driverless cars my whole life. When when the Jetsons will open up and that he turn on autopilot and the steering wheel go into the dashboard and he just gets to, kick his feet up. I've been waiting for that my whole life. Because I hate road trips. I want to get where I'm trying to go. That's the thing I appreciate about planes. Now, if you're telling me I gotta make a road trip out of this, just I don't want to have to be responsible for it.
See, you know what? That's the further I've gotten away from home and having to make longer trips whenever I don't want to fly, or even going back to Atlanta can be either anywhere from 3 hours to 5+, depending on traffic. My main complaint with driving is I haven't gotten in one where I could push the seat far enough back for my legs to be fully comfortable for that 5 hours for sure.
Mm.
And maybe that's just me not buying a $50,000 truck or whatever with enough leg room.
Get you a whole work truck like this.
Facts.
But you're saying your seat is all the way back and you still feel cramped?
Yeah, like cramped, like not when I mean, especially on longer trips, you know. Whereas I feel like I'm thinking like when I used to do deliveries in those Mercedes Sprinter vans. I don't remember that even technically it's different in the sense that I'm driving around 8+ hours a day, but I'm getting up and hopping out a lot, 200 plus times. So maybe that's different, but I had leg space to really move all the way back and stretch out. Where I haven't been able to find that yet. So I need to holler at Shaq, whoever he talked to get that that adjustable
every
yeah.
every vehicle he gets has got to be custom made. Like that seems exhausting.
Yeah, but
I guess
It does,
my
but
thing.
I'm like at 7.2, I'll do that too. Or 7.1, whatever
Oh
he
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me though,
I guess my eyes kind of, if I get too tired, that would be a thing. So you brought up a good point. If I get too tired, my eyes get to dozing off, then that would be a problem. But usually it's more like a leg thing for me to.
Yeah, I can get that.
My bad, Adam. Go.
And see,
you good.
and see without having to be on that pedal, you flip to the side, lay down.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Lay down, throw a movie on, watch some anime, some flickage, right? Watch some
that's true.
Watch some home movies.
I might just holler at the China doll next to me in the seat next to me.
So I'm saying you turn on the Mega 10 on the windows so they don't see whatever box I'm beating out on the screen.
Yeah, that's true.
Bang bus windows.
Yeah, dude.
But for me though, like trying to put in the words. For me, like if I'm purposely taking a road trip, like if it's like, hey, let's take this road trip to this destination, then I don't mind a road trip. But if it's like we got to get from point A to point B and we're driving, then I'm not gonna want to. I don't want to do it either. It's like I'd rather just get there too. Or like you said, if I don't got to drive, it's not as big of a deal. Like, or if I could take the train, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like to drive just to drive. Like, but like I said, if it's like, hey, we're about to take this purposely, we're gonna take this road trip. For example, there's this road trip that I didn't even know this was possible. But I mean, we're on the subject actually. So I asked Chat GPT, I was like, give me some, while we're on the subject, give me some road trip ideas, around the Midwest. Cause I was like, I'm gonna see what this thing's about. And they gave me the idea to drive around Lake Michigan. I didn't even technically realize it was possible. I figured it would be
you can drive
Canada.
around the actual outskirts of Lake Michigan?
Yep. Like you can literally go 360 degrees around it. You would, of course, they would take you through Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois, a little bit of Indiana, of course. I'm like, I didn't even know that was possible. That's cool to me. So that's something that we're trying to do at some point. I don't know when, but it would be something that we split up in you could technically do it in like 3 days, but we would stretch it out so you're only having to drive like 3 hours a day and do it in like a week. So you're taking this thing that really shouldn't take that long, but you can stretch it out and make it not really a big deal. And it's just this
Mm-hmm.
cool, in my opinion, this cool experience that again, I didn't even realize it was physically possible to drive around Lake Michigan without
Yeah, so
going
cool.
into Canada, or just I figured it was connected to something else, or I don't know, but I just didn't realize it was possible. Or
I
wonder how
didn't
many
either.
people could say
New for
they've
me.
done that. Like, oh, I drove around Lake
Right.
Michigan.
Yeah, bro. And you
Uh,
bound to find some shit in those other states.
yeah.
That is cool as fuck that you wouldn't have thought of either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like the idea of like, how Michigan has all those lighthouses. Like they're like just all over. I don't know if you know that, but they're
Oh, I
all over
didn't
the
know that.
place. Yeah, they're all along the coast. Of course, just to help people not run into the coast. uh,
Hmm.
but and we've gone to a couple of them before, just in past years. But that probably would be part of it. Just stop at the lighthouses or stop at the different beach towns. Because that's one thing
Oh
that I've
yeah.
always loved is like the little small kind of beach towns. We used to do that in South Carolina too, where like we would go to Charleston, we would go to Myrtle Beach, but it would be cool to go to the places that aren't necessarily the big
Mm-hmm.
tourists, but they're still on the coast. You still get the same view, you just don't deal with the same crowds. So
Yeah. Stop at Traverse City, man.
yeah, I always
While
want to
you
go
there.
there, but
For
never
sure.
made it. It's so far up.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yo, actually, Nat and I recently were just talking about that there are one, maybe two national parks in the Midwest that you don't think of. I think one's in Michigan, like an island.
Oh,
That's
oh,
harder. That's harder to get to, but it's a national park technically. We was like, shit,
is
we
it
got to
like
do that.
I don't know the name of
Like
it,
it,
but yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I've heard. I know
And it's
there's
just
an
like
island. Yeah,
it's always like the bigger focus is on California and
yeah,
like the coast and
Right.
shit like that. It's like, yo,
Smoky
this shit
Mountains.
is
Yeah,
in the Midwest. What am I doing? I
yeah,
could have done that. I should have went to that shit growing up. The
yeah.
fuck?
It's interesting because like for me, like I've been there, been there, but like man, like why don't we try to explore literally our backyard? Like there's so much
Hmm.
here that you don't even consider, stuff that I would have just drove past, in my childhood. Like, now that I am back in Indiana, I would
Mm-hmm.
just hop in the truck. I know gas isn't necessarily cheap, but it is cheaper. But
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
than it is in Illinois for sure. But uh, I would just hop in the truck though and just drive down like country roads and just see like different things that I never saw before. Like, oh, that's like for example,
Hmm.
there's a you might have heard of it, but there's a homestead out here called the Buckley Homestead. But
Mm. I
okay,
don't know
well,
what that is. Doesn't.
apparently it's this old, super old, like farm homestead type of thing that's out here near I guess you would call it Crown Point. Yeah, I guess it's a little bit past Crown Point. No, it's near Lowell. It's like between Lowell and Crown Point, that
Hmm.
country area.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, so it's this old, super old homestead that you can just walk around, like legitimately. Like there's no cost. There's they got all this, old silos, and there's cows and goats and chickens, and they're housed in and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I didn't even know that place existed. Like my entire life. I was like, what the heck? But it's like this literally free. I mean, you could kind of have like petting zoo vibes ish,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's like just legitimate like farm that someone maintains or some people maintain, but it's free to open to the public to just walk around, I guess.
Bro, have you ever I know you know that like Nat and like I woofed and like Nat and I woofed together as well
Yeah.
just to kind of travel. Have you and Kirsten ever thought of that?
Well,
Or like
yeah, we definitely thought of
I
it, but we've never done it. She's definitely mentioned it recently, but we've never actually
because
taken them.
it's a super cheap way, of course, to like travel and learn exactly what we've been talking about on the podcast.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
yeah. It's on our radar
Right.
for sure. It's definitely we just haven't taken that leap, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit, what was the original fucking question?
Uh, Something
It
about
doesn't matter.
AI.
You know what though? Like
We basically
curiosity
talking
too,
about something.
right?
We, mm.
Just really quick about um like getting to know and appreciate your backyard essentially. Like, I'm not surprised that we are where we are. And like, I know that like growing up, I used to go camping all the time. My aunt was trying to instill that, and to some degree did a lot of that stuff. But then as video games and stuff came, she knew like it was that part was getting farther and farther away. She was losing us, losing us quick, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
TV was like good, it was still good at the time, and video games, she knew she was losing us. But also like I'm not surprised just because of curiosity. And like I'm not surprised to hear you talk like that just because you're curious in general, art
Yeah.
and otherwise. So it's not like that's also, I would imagine, how you approach certain projects with curiosity, and like find solutions to things. So it's not surprising that like you approach life in general in that way, which is real cool. And I think being more exposed to different things like that, especially I say nature and these things like that because it's such a fucking mystery still. It's so vast. It's such a fucking mystery. You cannot help but be curious because you don't know that much about it. Really, really and truly. So like we could add that part to the curriculum and instill some more of that. Maybe it would bring about more curiosity in general and help people find solutions in the same way when they approach things differently.
Right.
And now I'm off my soapbox, man. But that's kind of what I was trying to get at, earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's no. Yeah, the original subject that we were talking about was just the AI, we robots and driverless cars, and so the last subject of it, uh, if you could get a robot assistant for your life, would you take one?
If you were telling me that I was never gonna have no problems, it's never gonna turn on me in the night, and based on how I would like to live in the future, I think it'd be a huge show. Because this has to be outside chopping firewood and doing all the hard stuff. So,
you giving it weapons?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, it ain't gotta chop firewood, but something. It's all the manual stuff.
Change the tire, goddammit. Change my tire.
All the hard work, shoveling the snow, cutting the grass. Like, he gonna have some chores. He or she, we won't discriminate. He's gonna have some chores.
Hey.
It's like that. Hey, I respect y'all, but mine is gonna be a she. Down or right down
Why?
to the titty, down to the titty and the left toe.
All right. Yeah, ulterior motives here.
Yeah, was it nice? Yeah, I was about to say, if she gonna I just want to see what I want to see. You know what I mean?
I don't think I'll ever. I don't think anything in my life is ever going to require needing one. And I mean, let me not even put it like that. If that motherfucker will take care of my taxes, then yes. I don't think it needs a whole body for that.
I don't know.
He just needs ass titties.
Raspberry
Ass and titties.
It's like
a download for that.
It's like I just if you want a face so we can like have conversations about it where you ask your questions, that's fine or whatever. So like if you give me the top half of you and half fingers so you can input shit. But you don't need to walk around. I don't need to give you the ability to chase me just so you can do taxes.
Yeah, it's a no for me too, man. I know like if in a wonderful world and all that shit, but nah, man. I don't know. Because at some point I'm gonna be like, damn, you done everything. You done, built the new house. You done cleaned the one we currently in. You done did all that shit. Like, how do you take a break? What do you want to do for fun? And it's gonna be like, serve you, master. Nah, fuck that. I don't want that responsibility. Yeah,
that's good that you would want to give it that, just so when that apocalypse comes around and he ain't like, you never let me have a break. Like I asked you.
Exactly. That's kind of, I'm like, man, okay. How do I make sure this motherfucker don't turn on me? How do I make sure
you just work doesn't turn on? You've never cared about our feelings. So it's like I ask you every day, how you doing today? You ain't never tell me, oh man, it's really a hard day. My motherboard got a little fried, and it's like
Yeah, because like what
I
Adam
had
said, like I'm making you do all the shit I don't want to do. I'm never cleaning another bath. I'm never cleaning my own bathroom again. You know what I mean? Never. Dog. You fixing everything. What's the fucking like? You know what I mean? It's got to be about I'm doing all the shit that I want to do now, and you taking care of the rest.
Yeah.
Period.
And I'll even help the thing too, but it'd be so nice to have another set of hands.
Yeah.
With the ability to carry 4,000 pounds.
Miles, right?
Yeah.
Hey, lift this truck real quick.
That thing can like extend its arms, so the next dragon you make out of cardboard, it can carry the whole fucking thing without driving.
So, yeah. Well, let us know what y'all would do. You want the driverless car? You need a robot assistant. We ain't even talk about the Tesla bus, which I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Once again, fuck it. As most electric I'm going right now is a goddamn bike. Electric bike right now. The rest I'm good on it.
One of these days, I'll finally buy me a board with a motor.
Oh, like a one wheel?
Oh no! Even though those things do look a little fun, I'm just talking about the longboard, the ones with the remote, longboard with a motor.
Yeah.
But let us know. Informally Honest Podcast at gmail.com. Informally Honest on Instagram and informally_HP on Twitter. Still ain't calling it X. Elon, fuck you. And we love and appreciate you. Hold up, let me get my list back. Last thoughts before we get out of here, fellas.
Man, just enjoy the autumn while you can, because winter is coming.
Yeah, I like those sentiments.
Absolutely.
All right, well, whoever you have chemistry with, whoever may be on their way down your chimney in a couple months, and whether you're in the office or in the classroom, we hope that you do your giggity goddamn best to keep it forthright, vulnerable, and motherfucking honest. We appreciate you and we love you. It's the Informally Honest Podcast. Peace.
Peace
out, y'all.
Thanks for listening.
Four brothers from the Miller neighborhood of Gary, Indiana. Four brothers from the Miller neighborhood of Gary, Indiana.